Hey guys, welcome back to this week's video. This video is for you if you have ever felt confused about sweeteners. Yeah, sugar, honey, maple syrup, coconut sugar, agave nectar. There are so many sweeteners out there, and a lot of them have a lot of hype around them as being healthier or low glycemic and all these things. So I'm going to share with you a little bit today what sweeteners I've chosen to use and not use for my family and why. So if this is your first time seeing these videos with me, welcome. So nice to meet you. My name's Danielle. I'm a national board certified health and wellness coach, and I'm a plant-based nutrition educator. So I do these videos every single week inside my free private Facebook group called Healthy Living with Danielle Dinkelman. We'd love to see you over there if you're looking for more support and more help with figuring out healthy habits, prioritizing self-care, and taking charge of your habits. You can also catch these on YouTube and Instagram TV, wherever you like to get your content. So let's dive in. We're going to talk about sweeteners. What are the healthiest sweeteners out there? Well, let's go back to basics for a minute. What is a sweetener? Okay, most of the time we're talking about sugar, right? We're talking about sugar. So what is sugar? If you look at any whole plant food, so say a beet or sugarcane, that is coming straight from nature. It's plant-based. It's awesome. But the food industry has found ways to process whole plant foods like the sugar beet and to turn it into something totally different by stripping away all of its original parts and leaving you with 100% carbohydrate. Okay? Let me give you a little nutrition basics here so that you can understand this even more. So take a sugar beet, for example. Those red beets that you pull out of the ground, yeah, that has all three macronutrients because it is a whole plant food that hasn't been messed with yet. It has, in different variety of concentration, protein, carbohydrate, and fat. That's right, all whole plant foods have all three of those macronutrients in their natural state before we process them down to something else, right? So let's get to this too, that it's also in its natural state, it's going to contain water, especially because it's a vegetable, it's going to be pretty high in water content, and it's also going to contain fiber, okay? Fiber and water, they take up a lot of space in our stomach, they create that bulk of that food, they also have 0 calories, okay? Our body can't get any usable energy, which is what a calorie is, from water or fiber, but our body loves both of those things, right? Okay, so you've got a sugar beet, it's got the sugar, the water, the fiber, and it's got all three macronutrients. So what are we gonna do to turn a sugar beet into sugar? We're gonna strip all of that down, and we're just gonna keep the carbohydrate. And that's where you get cane sugar, or that refined white sugar, okay? So that's what sugar is. Now, our bodies are designed to do all of that processing. Our bodies are designed to have that sugar that is naturally present in the fruits and vegetables around us, and process it in our own way. We want it in its original package because our body knows how to handle it when it's in that original package. Our bodies are not naturally equipped to handle that onslaught of 100% carbohydrate, the glycemic, index shoot that we get, that blood sugar spike that we get. It's not natural. It's not normal. Our body is not equipped for it, okay? Now, like I said, when it's in its original package, it's fine because our body's like, oh yeah, fiber, I know what to do with that. Water, I know what to do with that. Okay, and it's not highly concentrated because it's still in its original package. Okay, see where I'm going with that? All right, so that's really important basics to understand. Now, when we're looking at sweeteners, we're looking at something that's usually not very natural, and especially in large quantities. Okay, so when we are having a diet that has a lot of sugar in the foods that we're eating, we are creating circumstances for our body that it's not used to dealing with, and then we start having problems with our health, right? I'm not going to get into a lot of the medical details there, but to me, the biggest problem with sweeteners is that they are a highly processed food. And as a rule, as a principle, I know that the more processed, refined foods I put in my body, the less I'm going to be able to trust my hunger cues, the less I'm going to be able to get the true nutrition that I want, because how much nutrition is in that sugar that is in, whatever you're consuming it in? There's no nutrition, there's no vitamins, there's no minerals, it's all been stripped away, okay? So that's where we get that term empty calories, okay? We don't want empty calories. There are other ways that we want to get our calories from, right? Okay, and the biggest problem to me with having a diet that has a lot of sugar in it is the addicting nature of it. Sugar begets sugar, man. It is just so hard to get out of that cycle. And even when it's a special occasion and I kind of decide to go ahead and have something that's maybe a little sweeter than usual, for me, I usually regret it, you guys. And I know that cycle, okay? I know that sugar addiction, been there, done that, still dealing with it on a day-to-day basis of making that choice of how much am I gonna allow into my body this day or this week. Okay, so we do want to avoid this stuff. So first of all, I don't want you to get hung up on this question of what's the healthiest sweetener to find out like which one can I get away with still having all my normal crappy American food and just use this healthy sweetener instead. What can I get away with? Please stop asking yourself that question. Like, that might be a helpful transition strategy for a very short amount of time, but that is not how you create a healthy lifestyle. I'm sorry, it's just not. So, I want to talk about a few different sweeteners that I just flat out avoid as much as possible. And I want to talk about when you kind of make that judgment call of when to go ahead and have that in your life. And then I want to share with you the sweeteners that I do choose to use for myself and for my family. So first of all, the sugars and sweeteners that I avoid, that I just kind of say no as far as like food that I'm making for myself in my home, I do not use white sugar or brown sugar anymore. It's just not here, okay? Instead, I will tell you actually in a minute what I use instead. When I do want to make, brownies or a birthday cake or something. Another one that I avoid that a lot of people think is healthy is agave nectar, okay? If you watched my highlights from the plant-based symposium that I went to this last fall, there's data showing that high fructose corn syrup and agave nectar are pretty much neck and neck as far as like nutrition and the way that it interacts with our body is not good, okay? So lay off the agave if you're thinking, oh, this is so healthy, like stop telling yourself that. So research that out, go check out that video if you want to learn more about that. Okay, another one that a lot of people use, even in the whole food plant-based space that I don't necessarily agree with is coconut sugar. Coconut sugar is still, like you took a coconut, you stripped everything away, and you still are left with pretty much 100% carbohydrate, but it's just slightly less refined. It's not bleached. Like there's a few processes that it doesn't go through, but you're still eating a highly processed refined food in order to sweeten your stuff. So coconut sugar, I don't put a halo around coconut sugar, okay? So look into that some more if you don't agree with me. Okay, so I want to talk about when it is like, it's really okay to not be perfect about this, okay guys? And I draw the lines at special occasions, okay? If it is somebody's wedding or if it is a birthday, I'm gonna have something that's probably gonna have sugar in it. If I'm making it myself, I use the sweeteners that I like to use and that I feel good about. Also, I do use other sweeteners, so we're gonna get into that in a minute, but I just want you to know, like, you don't have to be perfect about this, but be realistic, like really make it a once in a while special thing. The goal is for us to just get away from the standard American diet, right? And get to the point that we are eating mostly whole plant foods. And if you want something sweet, make yourself a smoothie. If you need a sugar, a blood sugar kick, like go have a banana, eat an apple, have some grapes. Like there's other ways that are gonna be more supportive and helpful to your health rather than harmful. Okay, so without further ado, what are the sweeteners that I choose to use in my home? Well, I'm gonna link a video down below that Dr. Greger really boils it down of the nutritional value of different sweeteners, because that's really what we want, right? We want something that's not totally empty calories, that we're baking with and using to sweeten our oatmeal or our tea and whatnot. So personally, I do use honey and I do use maple syrup. Okay, now do I use them in everything all the time, and am I making baked goods all the time? No, I am not. Okay, I use honey in the granola that I feed my family, and that's mostly like a good, better, best decision, because the alternative for my kids is sugar cereal, right? So I feel really good about putting a little bit of honey in a homemade granola that they can have for breakfast on a regular basis, and I feel fine about that. Maple syrup. That's just one that is really easy to use if you need to sweeten your tea or if you need something on your pancakes. Are there healthier ways to go? Absolutely. Are these things still going to slightly spike your blood sugar? Yes. Is it something that I use very sparingly? Yes. Okay. So it all comes down to judgment calls. I'm just sharing with you kind of what I've decided to do for my family, because I live in the real world too. Finally, you will learn in Dr. Greger's video about date sugar. What is date sugar? I might do a whole separate video on date sugar, but basically it still has some fiber intact, okay? It has not been stripped down. The only thing that's actually been removed from it is the water. Okay, and then it has been ground into a powder. Okay, I may do some things in the future showing you how I use that and how I cook with it. Since it does have fiber, you do need to usually add some moisture to the cake or the brownie that you're using that in. So there are some things to know there. But just so you know, like if you're looking for a mild, more whole food sweetener, date sugar definitely has a one-up on things like coconut sugar and whatnot. Okay, I also buy date syrup. That's what I put on my oatmeal in the mornings. It's basically dates that have been pureed. So a little bit more on the whole food side. And then once in a while, especially in the summer, my kids like to do lemonade stands and stuff. And I've been really happy with just using stevia to sweeten a lemonade, really simply. And I'm gonna link some videos down below that teach you about the safety and efficacy of stevia. It's not something you wanna use a ton of. Again, I think the sweeteners that you use is all gonna come down to judgment calls. And really the overall lesson that I want you to walk away with today is you take it a step at a time and go more whole foods as much as you can, and really just try to decrease the amount of baked goods and sugary stuff in your life and replace it with those fruits and other things that you can enjoy to your heart's content. So I know that was kind of a lot, but that's been on my mind, and I'm hoping that helps you kind of clear up the healthy sweetener dilemma. And feel free to reach out to me if this is something you want to talk more about, or if you have follow-up questions. I'm happy to answer anything that you've got and point you in directions. But really, it's up to you to do some research, and it's up to you to make some personal judgment calls and to just do what you can to go more whole foods, more plant-based, and you will reap the benefits. So ta-ta for now. Let me know what else I can do to help you, and I'll see you in next week's video.